I may have slightly overcommitted. Hey book besties, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my March reading wrap up and my April hopefuls. First, let's wrap up the books that I read in March. Last month I read 13 books, which is the most I've done so far a month for this year. In January and February I read 12 books each, which is still really impressive. I mean, I'm like blowing it out of the water this year and I'm so thrilled about it. So let's get into it. First up, Catching Fire. I'm doing this as a reread with a group of friends on Fable, and this is my favorite book in the series. I loved rereading this so much. And hello, look at this version. It is stunning. This is a reread, but I gave this book 5 stars. I read That's Not My Name by Megan Lawley. I really enjoyed this, super fast paced. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I read Hexed. This was my first Emily McIntyre book, and I was really looking forward to it. I liked it. I ended up giving this a 3. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about dark romance books. I'm dipping my toe in, but I'm still trying to navigate whether it's for me or not. I did enjoy a lot of this story, but I'm just trying to figure out if dark romance is my vibe. One thing that is totally my vibe, The Unmaking of June Farrow. I loved this book. I had so much fun reading it. I devoured it. It was so beautiful. I love Adrienne Young's writing. I gave this 5 stars. For my favorite book of the month, The Frozen River. I loved this story so much. I'm not a huge historical fiction reader, but I will say that I don't totally love like war stories. This is not a war story. It was set in the late 1700s and it followed a midwife living in Maine during that time. I loved this main character. I loved her relationship with her husband. I loved the story that went through. I was so invested in this woman's life. I could not get enough. When I finished it, I could feel in my bones the deep sadness that this story was over. I am not normally one to reread books, but I will absolutely be rereading this. 5 stars. I read one audiobook this month, The Amendment, which is book 2 in the Arrangement series. I will say that I liked the first book more. This one felt a little disjointed, so we'll see if it wraps up in the third book. I don't know. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. Next up is A Spare Key. This is a book that I received an ARC from. This book came out last month. It's a little novella that's got a time traveling theme to it. It was cute, quick. I kind of wanted more from it though. I felt I couldn't really connect to the characters. I ended up giving this 3 stars. Next, I picked up a Frida McFadden book, which is The Surrogate Mother. I didn't care for this one all that much. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was like fast paced, but I felt like really infuriated by the FMC, which is starting to become a trend with Frida books, so wasn't a fan of it. Next is A Photo Finish. I'm reading this series with a group of friends over on Storygraph. It's been so much fun. I really enjoyed this story. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I will say that to be honest, I liked the little novella between these two the most, but I did like the first one better than this one. I'm really excited to read the next story, which I'll get to in my hopefuls list. I got to read this arc from Miranda Smith. If you are not reading Miranda Smith books, you need to. Her thrillers are so fast-paced, so well done. I love them. But this book, a 5-star read. Easy. If you're a fan of like 90s horror movies, you have got to read this book because it follows a group of people who, when they were kids, filmed in a cult classic horror movie, and now they're meeting up in a reunion years later. It's so twisty. There were multiple twists in this book. I didn't see any of them coming. It is so good. This one comes out in June, so you definitely need to check it out. Next is The Wrong Heart. I read this book for part of my Sisterhood of the Traveling Book, and I did not like it. I'll just be frank with it. I didn't care for the story at all. I gave this 2 stars. I could not stand the MMC. I enjoyed the FMC. She goes through a grief journey in the story, which I really like grief stories. I think they can be really powerful, but I thought the FMC deserved way better. I just couldn't stand him. Anytime it was his POV in the book, I was dreading it. Another arc that I got to read, this actually did come out last month, is the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. I love the Dream Harbor series. I was so thrilled I got to read this. I loved it so much. I gave this one 4 stars. And last, another arc. I read Any Trope But You. I enjoyed this. I thought the setting was really cool. It was set in Alaska, which was so fun. But I really had trouble connecting with the characters in this book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. All right, so unless I missed one, that is all of the 13 books that I read in March. Now, let's check out what I'm going to be reading in April. So I'm continuing to read The Hunger Games with my friends on Fable, and because we're all really wanting to get to Sunrise on the Reaping, we're going to be doing 2 books this month, so next month we can do the Sunrise on the Reaping. So first up, I will be reading Mockingjay, which will be a reread. Again, I've read this one before. And I'll be reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, I picked up this book years ago before I really got kickstarted on my reading journey, and I didn't get through it. I've got about halfway, so I'm gonna start over and read the entire story. I'm also continuing with another Megan Lally book, No Place Left to Hide. I'm excited to dive into this, see if it's just as fast paced as the last one. One of my friends and I are doing a buddy read on The Passengers. I read one John Mars book and I didn't really care for it, but I'm ready to give him another try and see how this one is. I hear really good things. My next Sisterhood of the Traveling book I will be reading is A Pumpkin and a Patch. I'm going to be starting this one pretty quick because the timeline got all messed up and I should have read this last month with the wrong heart and I didn't, so I need to finish this one so I can get it to the next girl and I can start my next book. So I'll be reading this, making my notes and tabbing and sending on to the next girl. I do also have a lot of arcs to read this month, which someone needs to take away my NetGalley access because I don't know what I'm thinking applying to all these arcs and then thinking I can read them. So yeah, it's gonna be a challenge, but we'll see what I can do. First up is a book that I've actually already started and I'm loving it so far. It hooked me from the beginning. It's called If You're Ready. I'm so excited to keep going with this. I'm captivated, so captivated. I'm going to be reading What If I Never Get Over You by Paige Toon. I hear such good things about this one already. And this one comes out April 15th, I believe, something like that. Another arc, Did You See Evie? This is by Miranda Smith. I love her books, you already know, so I'm so excited to dive into this one. This is the book for my local book club, and I have started listening to this one. I'm probably about 30% through. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really enjoying it so far. It's just kind of blah to me, but I'm working through it. I've got it at 2 times speed. I'm just trying to get through the book and be able to talk about it with all my friends. Next up is The Front Runner. I'm so excited because I've heard this is the best book in the Gold Rush Ranch series, and I'm already hearing great things about it from other people who have already read it because they're so ambitious, and I can't wait to dive in. I also really want to pick up Run Little Bunny, which is part of Serena Pierre's High Five novella series. I read the last one, Shamrock Kisses, and I'm excited to dive into this one. Quick little read, perfect for the Easter season. And last is The Inn at Harmony Island. I believe this book has already been published, but it's getting re-released this April. So yeah, I'm excited to read this one. Sounds like a fun little beach read, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna be entering my beach reading era in May, so this is a good way to kick it off. I don't know how many books that is. I did not count. We will see how I do with my hopefuls. Work is probably gonna get pretty busy here in a little bit, so we'll see how I can do. But I'm excited because I have a lot of fun things coming up this month with my books and a lot of arcs, which is so fun, but also a little stressful if I don't have time for them. We'll see how I do. In the comments, let me know which book you are most excited to read in April. Thanks for watching, besties. I'll see you next time.